Arcadian Vanguard presents the Wrestling News in your daily wrestling newscast for Monday, March 13th, 2023. Good morning, I'm Mike Sempervive. We begin today with last night's Road to WrestleMania Super Show live event at Madison Square Garden. Cody Rhodes made his return to the world's most famous arena after more than a 7-year absence, defeating Solo Sikoa by disqualification due to outside interference from Jey Uso. Sami Zayn emerged from the crowd afterward and attacked Uso. The match marked Sikoa's Madison Square Garden debut. In the main event of the evening, Austin Theory successfully defended the United States Championship against Seth Rollins in a steel cage match. Also successful in defending their titles was SmackDown Women's Champion Charlotte Flair, who defeated Sonya Deville and Liv Morgan in a triple threat, and Intercontinental Champion Gunther, who defeated Ricochet. Earlier in the evening, Ricochet won an 18-man battle royal for the chance to challenge Gunther. Also notable, Bray Wyatt was replaced by Braun Strowman for a match with LA Knight, which Strowman won, and in a 10-woman tag team match, Bianca Belair, Becky Lynch, Asuka, Candice LeRae, and Nikki Cross defeated Damage Control, Carmella, and Piper Niven. In ratings news, SmackDown last Friday experienced a dip in viewership on Fox according to the overnight ratings made available on Spoiler TV. The episode drew 2.136 million viewers according to the overnights, down from the previous week's overnight number, as well as a 0.5 rating in the key 18 to 49-year-old demographic, which was similar to the previous week. The full ratings figures for SmackDown are expected later on today. In All Elite Wrestling news, AEW Rampage will be preempted for the next 2 weeks, according to a report yesterday from Dave Meltzer. Both preemptions are due to live sports coverage on TNT, with the March 17th episode airing at 11:30 p.m. Eastern Time due to men's NCAA college basketball tournament games, and the following week's episode airing on Saturday, March 25th at 10 p.m. Eastern Time due to the U.S. men's national soccer team game against Grenada. Rampage's time slot was last altered due to conflicting TNT sports coverage on February 17th for an episode which drew the smallest audience in the history of the show. In news from Europe, Shigehiro Irie defeated Axel Tischer yesterday in Oberhausen, Germany in the finals of the WXW 16-karat gold tournament to win the vacant WXW Unified World Wrestling title. Irie had defeated Ahura in the tournament semifinals earlier in the show, while Tischer had beaten Peter Nahanye in his semifinal match. The title, previously held by the likes of Gunther, Sami Zayn, Zack Sabre Jr., Timothy Thatcher, Ilya Dragunov, and Malachi Black, had been vacant for nearly a month. In news from outside the ring, Bret the Hitman Hart was honored Saturday night by the hockey team which he co-founded in 1994 and whose name he inspired. The Calgary Hitmen of the Western Hockey League hosted Hart for their third annual Bret Hart game at the Scotiabank Saddledome, recognizing him before the game in a ceremony during which a commemorative banner was hoisted to the rafters of the arena. The game, which also featured the members of the Hitman team wearing Bret Hart jerseys, which were subsequently auctioned off with proceeds going to the Prostate Cancer Center. After the game, a wrestling show was put on for the live crowd by Dungeon Wrestling, the independent promotion run by Bret's sons Blade and Dallas. And finally today, turning to Japan, New Japan Pro Wrestling ran the Item Ehime in the city of Ehime today, featuring 2 more second-round matches in the New Japan Cup tournament. The show is still ongoing as we went to air, so we'll have those results for you on tomorrow's news. The main event today sees Will Ospreay against fellow United Empire member Mark Davis. The other second-round match featured the United Empire's Jeff Cobb against Bullet Club member Evil. The winners move on to the quarterfinals where they'll face off against each other on March 18th in Shizuoka. The quarterfinals of the annual New Japan Cup kick off Friday at Tokyo's Korakuen Hall. And before we leave you today, we'd like to remind you that however you consume your content, you can find the wrestling news 24 hours a day and 7 days a week across social media. On Twitter, follow us at Wrestling News AV. Our Facebook page is also Wrestling News AV. The Wrestling News can also be found on the Arcadian Vanguard YouTube page. And for those who utilize Amazon Echo devices, just tell Alexa to play the Wrestling News podcast. And remember to make sure you add podcast at the end. Once again, For daily updates, breaking news, and more, follow the wrestling news across social media. And that's the news for today. If anything happens, we will be here to tell you about it. No clickbait, no paywall, just the wrestling news. The Wrestling News is a division of Arcadian Vanguard, and the Wrestling Newscast is a production of the Arcadian Vanguard Podcast Network.